hello everybody. Thank you, Eros, and Lena to host this. It's great to see so many people interested in neurotech. Also great to see so many women in the tech event, as many women as men. I'm here representing Network. I'll speak a few words about what we're doing. But this is so great to be here at NASA, the Ames Research Center, and this is great to speak here for a few minutes. So at Network, we're basically working on a revolution in the mind sciences. So it's about basically building reusable rockets into the dream space. Now, how many people of you here are meditating on a daily basis in the room? Only a few people, yeah. How many people sleep every day? Everybody, right? How many people dream every day? Actually, everybody dreams every day. It's just a matter of we don't remember it. We don't remember that we're dreaming every day because we don't have the consciousness about that. So basically what we're working on is basically the frontier of the mind sciences to explore sort of altered states of consciousness in the form of like meditative states, in the form of like lucid dreaming, conscious dreaming. In Tibetan Buddhism they talk about dream yoga. So I just want to say a few words about that, why it's important. Because as we march into this future with AI, and who knows what kind of aliens are out there, I think it's important that we also go inward. And I think here in the Bay Area, there's this rich tradition of meditation and psychedelics and things like that. And I think it's about time that we put more respect towards the inward, because it's actually reality. As we can see with lucid dreaming, a lucid dream is one where you realize that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. And then it's basically the same way as it is in the waking state, which is kind of amazing, because if you're able basically to dream in a conscious way on a daily basis, then you're actually able to like revolutionize your own life in terms of facing fears, dealing with nightmares, with trauma. Some people spoke here about dealing with things with anxiety. I mean, a lot of mental problems are metaphysical problems, and I think we can't expect the brain to solve all of these problems when they're more a problem of consciousness. And so we really need to put more resources and more funding into basically dream sciences, mind sciences, meditation, and I think we also need to shift the culture. And so at Network, we're basically building ways, tools, technologies for you to be able to sort of have this reusable rocket into the mind. Because only then are we able to really solve problems that originate in the mind. And I think so much of the Western world is focused on just looking at the waking state. Everybody's so obsessed about every single minute, making everything so every minute, and then when it comes to sleep, it's just like charging a battery, and people don't even remember their dreams, And when really the dream state is the most creative space that exists in nature, that's basically based on scientific evidence. In the 70s here at Stanford and in the UK, two researchers validated this lucid dreaming phenomena. And it's still seen as a very esoteric thing, when this is really a powerful way to reimagine yourself, to reimagine the world, and really to heal yourself. Because so much of the technology that we have is not healing us. It's making us more stressed out. People are more anxious. People are more upset. People are spending all this time on the computer. They're not even looking at each other, not spending time in reality, because this is it. It's basically, how can we reconnect with nature to really build more sustainable ways to live and be inside nature? And dreams are sort of it's kind of insane how nobody's exploring that after all this progress in Western science. Dreams are this huge secret, and nobody pays attention to it, and I think it's important that we know we can keep doing all these things in AI and robotics, all these things in the material sciences, which is fine. But I think what kind of world are we building if we're becoming more disconnected from each other, if we're not having ways to heal ourselves? That's why I think it's great that you're working on anxiety. It's a big problem. Other people working on depression. These are really important problems. So I hope that we can really start this revolution in the mind sciences, because from a historical perspective, we still see a way like in Galileo, that basically reality is not predicated on the waking state, and that there's more to reality than the waking state, and that there's other states that are just as real, and that this is not an esoteric thing, that it's based in science, and we all sleep and dream every single day. So might as well make some utility from that, you know? I mean, some people will want to put advertising into our dreams. Some people will want to use a dream state, you know, to be more productive. But I think there's also this capability sort of to build, to rebuild your life and to have sort of an automobile for the mind. And that's what we're working on. We're working on an automobile for the mind. Because it is not enough to just have the freedom, the type of freedom. Americans always like to talk about freedom, but then when it comes to mental freedom, people don't talk about that. They don't even value that. But mental mobility is like really important, because if you are like stuck in your thoughts, if you're stuck in some loop or have some anxiety or some PTSD or some depressive disorder, and I think everybody can like at least sympathize with something like that or know someone else. And honestly, if people are honest with themselves, everybody has something, you know? And the problem is, these answers are not going to be found within the phone, within the neural interface, within the computer. When like basically consciousness goes beyond the brain. And sort of like, this is sort of like a post-materialist world. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been talking now for a few minutes already. I don't know how long people want to listen to this, but I think I just want to shed more awareness, and like, you know, that's why we're funding this, and like we're building tools to see how can we practically work on tools, you know, that are like sort of like Inception, where people can have lucid dreams on demand, you know, where you can basically use your dream state in a productive way, and really have a new paradigm for mental health. Because basically mental health, as it's being treated right now, it's entirely broken when pharma industry is just selling people like things to make people like addicted to something that only attacks the symptom and doesn't really solve the problem. So we really need to figure out how can we give tools into the hands of people that people can use to really face these problems on their own, and to really, you know, a lot of these things, like I said, are metaphysical in nature. So it's really like, okay, how can we empower people to have more consciousness in their dreams and in their meditative states, so that they can really be more in charge of their own life, you know, and have more agency, and have this type of freedom. I think that's very, very important. Sort of the freedom from the self, the freedom from the mind. And I think like humanity has completely forgotten about this. I mean, Elon Musk likes to say, like, you know, how little funding goes into space exploration, but like compared to dream exploration and the mind sciences, I mean, we don't even have a NASA. You know, I was at NASA in Florida last year, and like, you know, sometimes people don't even take this seriously. Like, you know, it's like they look at me like as if this is a very esoteric thing, when this is very practical and this is very important, and this is like not about dreams in the sense of like fulfilling your wishes, but it's a way of like reconnecting with yourself, and sort of like making use of a part of your day that you have no consciousness about. Because you sleep every day anyway, right? You sleep every day, you dream every day, but you just don't have the sort of the recollection about it, you don't remember it, and it's not cool to dream, I guess, in that sense. And so I hope with Network, we sort of can catalyze this recognition in the mind sciences, and sort of build tools by which people can have, you know, conscious dream technology and tools. But, you know, as I said, this is more so subtle than just dealing with the brain, because this is really the frontier of consciousness. But like, I think it's important that we reimagine. America was always good about reimagine the world. And I think now it's like politically stuck in this way, where I think it's up to immigrants to sort of like, you know, take charge and really, okay, how can we sort of reimagine the world? But if everybody's so stressed out and angry and upset about anything, and people have more things and sort of like that, this is not the path, you know? So I think it makes sense to just like dedicate more resources to funding this, to explore this, to sort of declare this as a frontier, and to make sure this is important, and like for people to see, okay, this matters, because this goes at the core of sort of like healing people. And yeah, so I'll stop here. And, like,